सलाम दुआई हो रही थी। लाइव हो गई?
नहीं उधर ही हो, साउंड
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि व कफ़ा व सलामुन अला इबादिहिल्लज़ीना इस्तफ़ा अम्मा बाद। अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। कुल अऊज़ु बिरब्बिल फ़लक़ मिन शर्रि मा ख़लक़ व मिन शर्रि गासिकिन इज़ा वक़ब व मिन शर्रिन नफ़्फ़ासाति फ़िल उक़द व मिन शर्रि हासिदिन इज़ा हसद। सुब्हान रब्बिका रब्बिल इज़्ज़ति अम्मा यसिफ़ून व सलामुन अलल मुरसलीन वल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व बारिक वसल्लम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व बारिक वसल्लम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व बारिक वसल्लम। रब्बि यस्सिर व ला तुअस्सिर व तम्मिम बिल खैर व बिका नस्तईन। रब्बि ज़िदनी इल्मा या फ़त्ताह या फ़त्ताह या फ़त्ताह। So alhamdulillah, first of all, that after a short break, 3 weeks maybe or so, we are back in these sessions again. It always gives me a great joy when we are able to resume something which we start for the sake of gaining the pleasure of Allah, but because of one reason or the other, it gets disconnected. When we get to restart it, it means that Allah has not closed the doors as yet. There's still hope. Allah still wants us to do something. My tafsir classes, they also stop around about the same time as these classes stop. We do this on Tuesday, I do tafsir on Wednesday and then Saturday. And I've still not been able to resume them, and now it's playing on my mind, because the first place to look whenever there is any such event where we're not able to resume something is within myself, that perhaps there's something that is lacking in my sincerity, because of which Allah is depriving us of this thing. So and at times it is the sincerity of those who are seeking the knowledge that Allah appreciates that and allows me the opportunity to do these things as well. So Jazakallah to all of you for being so sincere in your desire to seek knowledge, and I can't thank Allah enough for giving us this opportunity to be here and to learn. We started this session with the intention that inshallah we'll do Hadith and Tafseer, or Tafseer and Hadith, one session of Tafseer, one session of Hadith. And I think we have done 3 sessions of Tafseer already. And but that was all to introduce Tafseer. We just wanted to, it is, before we go into Tafseer, it's always good to understand what is Quran, and how is Quran in the form that is available to us today. What does it mean for Quran to be wahi? What does it mean for Quran to be what does it mean to study the tafsir of Quran? Why do we need tafsir of Quran, which Allah says is self-explanatory? Who is capable of doing tafsir? What are the different sources of tafsir? How was Quran put together from wahi to book form? How many years did it take for all of it to happen? All of this, alhamdulillah, we have covered and we have understood in these sessions. And today, inshallah, we are at a point where we can actually start the tafsir of the first surah that we wanted to do. Just as a recap, what we said we will do was to do at least the last 10 surahs of the 30th juz, with the intention that we would also memorize them all before Ramadan, so that at least they become part of our salah, and we also get to recite them with the understanding of what we are reciting in our prayers. अंग्रेज़ी में इतनी ज़्यादा क्यों बोल रहा हूँ? अंग्रेज़ी में इतनी ज़्यादा इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ because we have our friend Sheikh Dildar Saab with us, who 100% does not understand Urdu. So for his benefit, I am conversing in English. कभी कभी मुँह टेढ़ा करके बात कर लेना अच्छा होता है. So practicing that as well. So inshallah we'll start with Surah Falaq. Why Surah Falaq and why not Surah Nas? The reason is because Surah Falaq and Surah Nas, these two surah go hand in hand. They are called together, collectively they are called Mawzatain, and they got revealed at the same time together as 11 ayats in one go. And inshallah, when we will study the background as to what was the background of these surahs and how did they get revealed, we'll understand more. These are extremely powerful surahs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ended Quran. Inshallah, when we'll do Surah Nas, we'll reflect more on this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought two such, in terms of their revelation, if you recall, we said that the order in which the surahs appear in Quran is not necessarily the order in which they were revealed to Rasulullah as well. So when we say that Surah Baqarah is the first surah after Surah Fatiha, that does not mean that Surah Baqarah was the first surah that Rasulullah started receiving as well when revelation started happening to him. Nor does it mean that the ayahs that come in Surah Baqarah were all in the same order when they got revealed. This we have already covered in the previous tafsir sessions. Likewise, the last two surahs, the Mawzatain, they are by no means surahs that got revealed or they got descended at the very end of Rasulullah prophecies. They came sometime prior to that. And they are extremely powerful surahs in terms of seeking the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, in today's session, I have two aims in mind. First is to explain to you the Shan-e-Nuzul of this surah, and the second one is to explain the importance and significance of these two surahs. In fact, these two surahs with Surah Ikhlas combined collectively are extremely powerful, but inshallah we'll talk about them. So what is Shan-e-Nuzul?
Reason for coming down, or the circumstances in which they were descending.
Any idea? Chale. So said, so already camera hi band kar diya usne kya kare. So
kuch log YouTube mein jaate Ali Yasin like language.
So they don't have to answer then. YouTube पे बचत. पॉप क्विज हुआ करेगा इस क्लास में, ये नहीं कि
मैं तो क्लास ही नहीं थी
लेकिन टीचर आप भी 3 हफ्ते के बाद 3 हफ्ते के बाद
एक्चुअली हमने बात की थी ना कि या तो हम स्टूडेंट्स बने या हम कहें कि हम सब इमाम शाफी हैं. तो इमाम शाफी वाला आपने सुनी थी ना बात की, क्यों, व्हाट इज़ द रेफरेंस ऑफ दैट, राइट? सो इमाम शाफी तो हमें तो कोई नहीं है, सो इसलिए स्टूडेंट बन जाना ही बेहतर है ना. But anyways, so this is these surahs are Madni surahs to begin with, and a Madni surah means that it was revealed in Medina Munawwara.
More ayahs. Most of the ayahs.
Most of the ayahs were revealed in Medina Munawwara. Right?
I missed the class.
You missed the class.
I'm in Egypt.
Madni surahs said anything you recall?
मेरा कुछ जूम का मसला चल रहा था तो मैं भी दोबारा ज्वाइन किया. क्या सवाल था?
चले We have muted you, Said, so you're free. We can't hear you. What was it? सवाल नहीं सुना. चले यार, कोई मसला नहीं. Madni surahs and Makki surahs. I have heard this terminology. Madni surahs and Makki surahs. They have nothing to do with Madina Munawwara or Makkah Mukarram. They have to do with Hijrah. So, surahs revealed prior to Hijrah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam are called Makki surahs, and surahs revealed post the Hijrah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam are called Madni surahs. So this, because Quran got revealed over how many years?
19 or 20, because 2 years nothing happened.
So Quran got revealed over 23 years. So even if there nothing happened, if Quran started from the thing, it's in between 2 years.
He said 2 years nothing happened.
My fault.
63, from the age of 40 to
40 to 60.
2 years nothing happened, so straight.
So over the period, over the period of 23 years. And over the 23 years, ayats came in different places. They not necessarily all came in Makkah Mukarramah or Madina Munawwara. They came in Taif, they came in different other places as well. So Quran got revealed over the period of 23 years, and the partition that is looked at is from a perspective of pre-Hijrah and post-Hijrah, and then we spoke about that. Why is it even important to look at it from that perspective? Why do we even consider that what is pre-Hijrah, post-Hijrah? It was because when we are trying to understand just by looking at the surah and say that this is a Makki surah, we can understand the theme of that surah. Pre-Hijrah, the audience was Kuffar Makkah, who wanted to be convinced on Tawheed, and for that Rasulullah used the tools of Risala, Akhirah, Ayatullah and Alatullah, the details of which are already covered, so I'm not going into all of them again. And in Madni Surah, now a Muslim state was already established, and there was a need for rulings on how to govern the Muslim state. How should the Muslims behave themselves? What is permitted, what is prohibited, halal, haram, ways of doing transactions, all of that, plus the state affairs, jihad, zakat, hajj, all the ibadats, interaction with non-Muslims, what should that be like, and then dialogues with people of book, the Jews and the Christian, all of that comes in Madni surahs. This surah is also, this and Surah Ikhlas and Surah Nas, they're all Madni surahs, and as I mentioned that both these surahs came together in response to an incident. The Shan-e-Nuzul basically means, and we will be talking about Shan-e-Nuzul in Tafseer classes very frequently, are the circumstances under which the surah got revealed. And it may be because somebody had asked a question to Rasulullah, or something had happened because of which now Rasulullah was looking for a response, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to guide Rasulullah on certain things in pursuit of certain incidents that had taken place. So all of that can be Shan-e-Nuzul. The Shan-e-Nuzul for these two surahs, Mawzatan, Surah Falaq and Surah Nas, is what we would truly call a Jewish conspiracy. These days we say हर चीज़ को हम कह देते हैं यहूदी साजिश है, right? But this was 100% a Yehudi sazish. And how is that a Yehudi sazish? How is that a Jewish conspiracy? Is because to understand why is it a Jewish conspiracy or Yehudi sazish, you need to understand what is happening. What was the setup like? Prior to, the Jews they didn't belong to Medina, Yasrib. They had nothing to do over there. The Jews belonged to they come from an area which is now, Syria, Jordan, bit of Egypt, Palestine. This was primarily what Bani Israel had scattered into over the years post Musa alayhi salam. So these were the areas that they were in. But because, and Quran is very elaborate about Bani Israel and Musa alayhi salam, and we get to learn that because of repeated breaking of promises with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eventually said that you're going to be punished till Akhirah, and then thereafter, and you would not have a home at any place in the world. And this we have seen throughout the history that Bani Israel, the Jews, they have been going through that cycle. However, one thing that the Jews were very clear about was that there would come a prophet, and that would be the last prophet, and that prophet would revive the glory that the Jews once had, and he would be the reviver of the deen as well for them. So the ulama of the Jews, the scholars therein, had said that the signs of that scholar coming, or that a prophet coming, is that he would come in a place which would be in the desert, but yet it would be sort of an island, not an island, oasis. It would be an oasis within the desert, and the description, was the best fit of that description was Yasrib, what is now Medina Munawwara. So the Jews clan had come to Yasrib and had settled around that area, and they had come quite a few years prior to the birth of Rasulullah, waiting for that prophet to come, which had been promised to them. And because they had come over there, and they were aliens, they were foreigners who had come, and the locals weren't too happy about them being there, and they would fight with them, and they would get into all kinds of troubles with the locals. And at times when they were getting defeated by the locals, they would actually call out to the Rabb to say that, Ya Allah, we have come here to find the prophet whom you have promised to us, so for the sake of that prophet, save us from these people. So this is how convinced they were that the prophet is to come. They would even give उनको ताना दिया करते थे कुफार को कि जब हमारे नबी आएंगे तो फिर हम तुम्हें सेट करेंगे, because they knew that this was coming, the prophet was coming. There was no doubt in their mind about that.
It was revealed in their book.
And it was in their books. It was their, it was something that was carried forward from them. That is why Quran consistently uses the language that you know him as you would know your own son. Quran consistently uses this language that you would be able to recognize him as you would be able to recognize your own son, because it was they were so well versed with what Rasulullah would be like, and all his descriptions and all his personality traits and characteristics were covered in there. Now Jews, by virtue of who they were very well, they were educated, they were learned, they were organized, they were systematic, and therefore when they had come into that society, they started dominating the market. Does that sound similar? Jews dominating the market, right? So the Jews dominated the market space in Medina, and because they dominated the market, they had a say in how things mattered. So much.
Will be at stake, I'm telling you.
I know.
The word will be picked up by their logics and all.
Okay, so
Too bad.
415 subscribers will have to suffer. So
You have 443 more than me.
So
marketplace.
So the marketplace, because they control that, they also started having an influence over what goes around in the town. So much so that the Arabs would come and actually consult them for the marriages of their children, to say that, how would it play out and stuff. Because what they had done is that, another good thing that they had done is that they had made alliances. So Arabs would fight with each other. There were different clans in Medina that would always be fighting with each other. So the clans among the Jews, they had collaborated with the opposing clans. So then they would use those clans to get a collective benefit out. So they were managing that area, and although on paper they weren't the ruling elite, but in reality they controlled how things ran. It all changed when Islam came to Medina. Once Islam came and the Arab clans accepted Islam, and Rasulullah got invited over, suddenly the power games changed. Because now the fighting clans were no longer allies with the Jews. They were now together under Rasulullah. The market situation changed, because Rasulullah established a parallel market for Muslims, and therefore the money or the wealth control that the Jews had was no longer as operative as it was before. And they felt it. They felt that they were, they weren't no longer in the leading position. They weren't in the consultative position. They weren't in the controlling positions. They couldn't. The market was no longer operated by them, controlled by them. So they were concerned, and of course, they refused to acknowledge Rasulullah, because the point that they took was that, yes, we were waiting for the Prophet, but the Prophet was to come from our lineage. So it had to be the son of Ishaq alayhi salam, but how come it is the son of Ismail alayhi salam? So, not possible. They used that as the reason, but in reality, the reason was because they realized that suddenly all that it was their ulama basically which felt that, if we go back now and say, this is it, all that we enjoy, the power, everything is gone. So to keep that worldly power, they basically started disinforming that this is not gay, this is not, and that's what they're but at that time, that's what they were operating on. Now that they had refused, and Rasulullah, and that's why in the Madni Quran you would see that there is a lot of dialogue that takes place with the Jews. There's the first 4-5 surahs of Quran, Surah Baqarah, Surah Al Imran, Surah Nisa, Surah Ma'idah, they all are, there's a great portion dedicated to dawah to the Jews. Logical, emotional, threatening, whichever angle you want to come at, is historical. All perspectives are given to tell them that, where are you going? Why are you being so blindsided? But they refused to listen to it all, and they stuck to their position that this is what it is. And as they lost more and more control, they said that, something has to be done. And we need to fix that matter. And the best way of fixing this matter is to get rid of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because na rahega baans, na bajegi bansuri. That's clean sweep. So now they wanted to do it in a manner in which they don't get the blame as well. So what they came up with was that let's use one of the guys who is become very close to. So another thing that started happening was that some of the Jews, they had on the face of it converted to Islam and had become very close to the Muslims, and they are what is commonly known as the hypocrites, and they were very close to the Muslims, or they were still Jews but they showed great tendency to be Muslims, and Muslims welcomed them with open arms. So one such gentleman was Lubayd bin Asim. One such gentleman was Lubayd bin Asim, and he was very close to the Muslims, and he pretended to be one of the well-wishers of the Muslims. And so the Jews or the leaders, they approached him and they said, we have a special task for you. So, and the task that he was assigned was that come up with a way to get rid of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he said that the best way of getting rid of him is through magic. He had 2 daughters who were practitioner of black magic, and he said that I will use that to get rid of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And what he did was that he got hold of one of the khadims of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a young boy, and he, because he on the face of it was close to Muslims, and the boy did not anticipate any wrongdoing, he gave in to his trick. So he got him to bring one of the combs of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam which had hair of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in it. So once he got hold of that comb, he gave it to his daughters, and those daughters then used the comb and the hair to tie knots and eventually put it into a puppet, wrap that puppet into palm leaf, put some pins in it, and then bury that puppet with the leaf and the pins inside under a stone in a well. In a well. So this is what they did. What that magic did to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was that it started making Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam become forgetful. So now Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would at times feel that as though he has done something, but he wasn't sure if he has done it or he hasn't done it. He had to we have this thing that where I have kept my keys, we can't recall our keys. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam started having these short lapse of memory, and he felt that he was not well. So one day in a dream, it comes in a hadith, Sayyidah Aisha radhiyallahu anha narrates this hadith, that one day Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had a dream in which 2 angels came. One sat on his head side, the other sat on his foot side, and he's seeing this as a dream, that 2 angels have come, he is lying down, one is on his head side, the other is on the... And the angel on the head side said, what is wrong with him? Pointing to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the angel on the foot side says that so-and-so has done magic on him. And he said, what is the magic that has been done? Says that they have taken his hair. So all the description that I gave to you, it actually comes from hadith. So we know that this was the case because it is captured like that in the hadith. So they say that, so-and-so has taken the comb, has taken the hair, have tied the knots, have done the magic. So where is it? It's in, buried in that so-and-so well. What can he do? So he said, okay, bring that out and then recite Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq all the way up to Rabbin Nas. Right? So that's how the ayahs got revealed. So once Rasulullah saw this dream, he woke up and then he called few of the ashab radhiyallahu ajma'in, and he said that go get that, they were sent to that well. They retrieved the well water was extremely murky. They retrieved it was under the stone. They retrieved that palm leaf, protective thing. They brought it over the thing, and they saw that there are 11 knots that are tied on the thing. So as Rasulullah recited each ayah, the knots got untied till the 11th one, and as the 11th got untied, Rasulullah felt extremely relieved, and he his pain went away.
Even on the prophets.
Even on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Sayyidah Aisha radhiyallahu anha asked him that, why don't you do something with Ubayd bin Asim? I mean, in today's world, if something like this would have happened, the Joshilas in us would have said, "Ke,
Let's kill him.
right?" Rasulullah decided not to do anything to Ubayd bin Asim. In fact, he was not even revealed that it is Ubayd bin Asim with his daughters who have done this thing. And the reason that Rasulullah gave was that this was something personal. It was done to my personal being, and I forgive. So that's how Rasulullah was. He did not want anybody to be harmed for his personal being. The Sahaba Ikram who had found out that this has happened, it was a close group of Sahaba which included Sayyidina Ali radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu and few other Sahaba who had gone to the well to bring. They sought permission to take care of the matter with regards to Ubayd bin Asim. Rasulullah refused to give permission for that. Rasulullah did not seek any revenge on this matter. This is the reasons for revelation for these surahs. However, Shan Nuzul of the surah. However, there are few questions that come up on this, and some of the sects that got formed, or not sects, but some of the deviants that came in Islam in terms of aqaid later on, actually raised this question and questioned that how can this be the reason of revelation. And the question that they posed was that Khawarij, for example, the question that they posed was that if we say that Rasulullah actually had magic done on him, then the claim that the kuffar in Makkah had that Rasulullah was possessed, was mahsur, is true. Because that's what they always said, that Rasulullah is mahsur, he's possessed, he's not somebody who is in his senses. So how can we say that this is the case? Because otherwise nobody would take Rasulullah to be seriously for him to have been possessed and been affected by magic. Valid question. It is a valid question. The answer for that question is that the magic, when it affected Rasulullah, it only affected him to a point where the effect was only known to some very close people. It did not affect any capability or ability of Rasulullah. The easiest way, of course, I'm giving this answer right now, but because it is for us easier for us to relate. If I have a problem of forgetting where I put my wallet, do the people that I work with in my office know this? Or is it just my wife who knows that, घर से निकलने से पहले शोर मचाया होता है, wallet कहाँ है? It's only your very close contact who know such issues with you. the people in my office would still consider me that, he's a very sane person, intellectual person, capable person, able to deliver very, spot on, blah, 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 all the good capabilities, knowing little that, I have a habit of putting my wallet somewhere and then forgetting where it is. Not that Rasulullah was having such issue, but I'm just giving that it was such a minor point, and somebody very close to Rasulullah, Sayyidah Aisha radhiyallahu anha, perhaps Abu Bakr Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu, very close context of his, knew that there was something going on. It did not affect his speech, it did not affect his ability to deliver, it did not affect anything on the public sphere. Right? So, what the kuffar in Makkah were saying was that the speech of Rasulullah is possessed. It is an insane speech. This thing had no impact on the sanity of Rasulullah whatsoever, or even on his capability to remember what is being revealed or what he is saying. Right? So that addresses the question and puts it to rest right there and then. The second thing that it raises a question about is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran itself promises that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would protect Rasulullah. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would protect Rasulullah against all evil, or any harm being done. So how is it that Rasulullah can then have magic being done on him? That requires us to understand that what actually is magic. Magic is nothing supernatural. Magic isn't a supernatural thing. Magic happens in this dunya, and it happens within the means of cause and effect. असबाब के दायरे में रह के ही मैजिक होता है. जादू भी असबाब के दायरे में रह के ही होता है. When COVID started, nobody was able to understand what COVID is. Probably we still don't understand what COVID is. But COVID was still a disease. As mysterious as it was, as unidentifiable as it was, or for that matter, any disease that has happened over the period of time, till it has been fully understood by the scientists, a breakthrough has been made to know that how to overcome it, all of that, it remains a mystery, it remains a myth, it remains something which people cannot understand. A lot of things, a lot of manners, in a lot of ways in which people died in past was considered to be a very supernatural thing, but now we know that this was actually this disease that caused that, the way of death, right? Any disease that happens within the means that are there and is a result of a cause and effect. Magic is like that. Magic is also a cause and effect. It isn't something which is supernatural. It happens completely out of the blue. It happens within the means. It's just that because we are unaware of those means which you are used to make that magic happen, therefore it looks very mysterious and very supernatural to us.
Somebody must do magic for magic to happen.
So magic is always done by someone for it to happen, and there are different ways that are used for that magic to come into play. Magic works on energy basically. So because we do not believe in energies, therefore we feel that it doesn't work. But आपके जो रहमत का concept है, बरकत का concept है, it's all about energies. Magic is all about energies. It uses your energies to do all kinds of things to you. So much so magic can actually kill you. Right? Man, magic is used to kill people, to destroy people, to cause a lot of diseases in people, all kinds of things. A great power of black magic, it has a direct effect on kidneys, and affects kidneys in all ways and forms. Magic is something that is real. Magic is something that happens. It exists. It is used. But it is among other things like there are, and it just needs, just as we seek protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from other things, it also needs to be sought protection from. So, given that we understand this definition of magic and that it is a natural thing, it is not beyond acceptance that it can affect Rasulullah. Rasulullah had physical he was hurt physically in Uhud. He had his blessed teeth injured. He once fell off a ride he was doing. It was a horse or a camel, I can't recall it, but he was once racing and he fell off, and there were times when he fell ill. He had headaches, he had temperature. So Rasulullah has had physical as well as health degradation over the course, just as any other human being. So for magic to affect Rasulullah is not unnatural. But what about the promise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made that it would not, that Allah would protect Rasulullah, He would not let any harm come to him? That promise is for him being protected from being martyred at the hands of his enemies. And that promise holds. Nothing like that has happened. So these were the few things that were raised as an objection, and the answer for them in context to this Shan-e-Nuzul. So this Shan-e-Nuzul actually holds. It's a valid Shan-e-Nuzul, and this is how it comes through. Now, how long have we been going on for?
14 minutes.
These two surahs, I spoke about the fact that how magic is prevalent and how it affects us. One of the most selling items when people want to come to Deen is कि हमें कोई चीज़ पढ़ने को बता दें, कोई वजीफ़ा बता दें, tell us something to recite. What I think my aunt has done jadoo on me, and my saas has done jadoo on me, and my this has done, and this is one of the best things. So everybody thinks that everybody has done magic on the other person, and they all want protection against the magic. And that's true in a lot of aspects. There's a lot that is in the world that we are living in right now. Even if there is nobody in particular doing magic on us, there are forces that are working to curb the iman as much as possible. And there are forces that are used in the realm of what would be where the sphere where the magic takes place, that are used to affect our thinking, our emotions, our everything. And the need from protection from all of this is higher than it has ever been before. And the best protection that Rasulullah had said, Rasulullah on many occasions have pulled Sahaba Ikram and have said that, should I tell you, and I'm just now summarizing all these ahadith, Rasulullah had said, should I tell you something that is more powerful than what has ever been revealed in Torah, in Injil, and in Quran? And when Sahaba Ikram said, what is it? He said, Mawzakat. There was once Rasulullah was walking and it suddenly became very dark and clouds overcame. He said, recite these two surahs and be saved. Rasulullah had the habit, it was the firm sunnah of Rasulullah that every night before going to sleep, Rasulullah would recite the 3 surahs, Ikhlas, Falaq and Nas, 3 times, would blow them on his hands, and then would rub them all over his body. So much so that when Rasulullah was on his deathbed and he could not have the energy to recite them, Sayyidah Aisha would recite them, and then Rasulullah would bring his hands forward, and she would blow on them and she would rub them on. And she said that the reason that I did not blow it on my hands and rub it on Rasulullah because my hands could not have done what the hands of Rasulullah could do. But he did not leave this practice even till that time. That's how much he used it for the power of protection. We all must, and this is I'm not requesting, but I'm telling that make it a habit without failure to recite these 3 surahs thrice after Fajr and after Maghrib. Majority of the grey zone issues of your life would go away. This is an ultimate source of protection. 3 times after Fajr, 3 surahs, 3 times after Maghrib must recite. And for the sake of following the Sunnah, and we have spoken about the importance of following the Sunnah, if we do it before going to sleep, there's nothing like it. But after Fajr and after Maghrib, this should be a must do. It is extremely powerful. Rasulullah would recite them at least once after every salah as well. All three. At least once. But 3 times after Fajr, 3 times after Maghrib. Very, very important surahs. Very powerful. And inshallah, when I will explain, if Allah gives me tawfiq, then the tafseer of these surahs, you will realize that why they are so powerful. Because they are so comprehensive in seeking the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from every possible harm that can come in this dunya and in the hereafter. Every possible harm that can come, it gives us protection from that. And therefore the value of reciting this is undeniable. Right? So that's all for today, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Any questions?